But it sounded like, or it felt like you felt very wronged in that situation.
Well, wronged because of the friendship level.
Okay.
Right? So when I almost lost my life, she came to visit me at the hospital, and like she said before, in a couple of interviews, that she would come to my house on a random Saturdays.
Yes.
And, just hang out and be, a sister friend. And, when I heard all of the things that was happening behind the scenes, of course, as a human being,
yes,
or someone that you would call your sister, you would be devastated about. So, and I was.
All right, y'all, gather around for a minute because we need to break down what Tamar Braxton has stirred up again. This time, the situation isn't small. It's not a little bit of shade or a tiny misunderstanding. What we have here is a long, messy conflict that has finally boiled over. And the person calling it out loud and clear is K. Michelle. She went on Cam Newton's podcast and didn't hold back at all. The moment Cam asked if female R&B artists deal with the same kind of drama rappers deal with, she didn't even think twice. She said, yes, it's real, it's heavy, and then she used that old nickname, the Muppet with no edges. She didn't mention anyone by name, but come on, everybody who has followed their history knows exactly who she meant. That nickname has been connected to Tamar for years. And what makes this whole situation even louder is that this beef did not start yesterday.
I just want to be very careful about the things that I say because, like I said before, I want to be able to stand by the things that I say.
Gotcha.
And on my healing journey, and
Like
when
that.
I watch things that are, not so much like me in the now,
Yes.
I become disappointed in myself.
Yes.
And I always want to show up as my best self, where I am proud of myself and,
Yes.
and where I can physically see my growth and be happy about it.
It didn't start last year, it didn't start during COVID. This issue has been here since 2013, more than a decade of tension, shade, and behind-the-scenes trouble. Let's go back for a second to where all this began. Back in 2013, K. Michelle was on Love and Hip Hop, talking about something extremely personal. She spoke about being harmed by her ex, Memphis. She didn't say his name during the show, but she told her truth. It was a serious moment. And instead of respecting that or staying out of something that had nothing to do with her, Tamar jumped in on Twitter. She posted hints, little jabs, and lines that were clearly meant for Kay. Michelle, even though she pretended they weren't. One of the things Tamar wrote was "the lies you tell." Then she followed that by quoting "What's Love Got to Do With It?", which everybody knows is the movie where Angela Bassett played Tina Turner. She even tagged Angela directly.
People that are out in the public,
That's
who
what
has a
makes
lot
you
of
really wanna
public
do it.
scrutiny,
Uh-huh.
because it's a different kind of bullying. You know what I mean? Because people think that they can come to you and say whatever they want to say,
Yeah.
and you can't really always pop back. And some of the things that people say really penetrate.
When you put all of that together, it wasn't subtle at all. She was calling K. Michelle a liar and mocking her story like she was acting for attention. And that was the moment things changed between them. K. Michelle didn't drag the situation out publicly at the time. She didn't run to the internet every day to complain. But according to her, Tamar kept the drama alive behind the curtain. She says Tamar made calls, spoke to people in the industry, and interfered with opportunities, costing her shows and appearances. Not rumors, not fan-made theories. K. Michelle said this openly on Cam Newton's podcast. She said she stayed silent for years, letting things roll off her shoulders. But every time she celebrated something positive, Tamar reappeared with another comment, another joke, or another slick remark. And this time, she announced she's done swallowing it.
It's for to open a bistro. If a woman sit in your face and play with you about your abuse and tell you what you did not go through and go through a city to block you from getting your hair done or doing anything, that's up forever.
Yeah.
That's up forever.
She told Cam straight up she wants to slap Tamar. Not symbolically, not in a just talking way. She meant it literally. That's how far this has gone. Now, let's get into how long this irritation has been building. You know how some people treat shade like it's a sport? That's exactly how this conflict feels. It didn't start out of thin air. It started from something real. someone speaking about her trauma, and another person undermining her pain. The moment Tamar made those public comments, people started choosing sides, and it never truly settled after that. What makes it even worse is that K. Michelle has spent years ignoring things Tamar has said or done. She tried to be the digger person. She tried to move on. But the problem with brushing shade under the rug is that eventually the pile gets too big and you trip over it.
Mind my business. I don't say much. I don't say anything, Cam. But as soon as I say something, it is this and that.
Fast forward to Cam Newton's podcast. Cam asked something simple. Do R&B women have the same type of beef rappers brag about? K. Michelle didn't hesitate. She said absolutely. And then she took the conversation right where everyone knew it would go, toward Tamar. She didn't say her name, but when she dropped that Muppet with no edges line, the message was clearer than any name she could have spoken. That nickname has been connected to Tamar during plenty of their past disagreements. But what really got people paying attention wasn't the nickname. It was what she said next. She explained that Tamar hasn't just talked trash online. She said Tamar has actively gotten in the way of her career. She claimed Tamar reached out to event organizers and tried to stop her from being added to lineups. She said every time something good happened, for example, when Beyoncé sent her flowers, Tamar would suddenly come around throwing new shade. That isn't petty anymore. That's interference. That's someone standing in the doorway while you're trying to walk forward. According to K. Michelle, this behavior didn't happen once. It didn't happen twice. It has been going on for years. And she says she even saw proof. These weren't random claims to go viral. This was her opening up about something she says she has kept quiet for more than a decade. And then there's Tamar herself. Tamar has a very specific pattern that a lot of people have noticed. When she starts a fight, she's bold, loud, and ready to argue. But when the attention turns back toward her and people push back, suddenly she becomes soft-spoken, emotional, and talks about healing or being misunderstood. She shifts from throwing punches to acting like she's confused about why people are mad. Look at her appearance on Nene Leakes' podcast. Nobody mentioned Kandi Burruss. Nobody brought up Loni Love. But Tamar decided she wanted to talk about them anyway. She mocked Loni Love publicly, calling her a big back Cadillac on the microphone like it was casual commentary. Why? Nobody knows. But what made it worse is that Loni and K. Michelle are close friends. So it's not a stretch to believe Tamar knew exactly how those words would land. When you know two people are close and you insult one of them publicly, you can't act surprised when the other person takes that personally. And the pattern continues. Tamar starts trouble, then when the internet reacts, here comes the apology tour. The emotional explanations, the healing statements, the talk about growth, and the claims that she wasn't trying to be shady. It happens every single time. Now, here's what really pushed K. Michelle over the edge. She said every time she has a good moment, anytime the spotlight shines on her in a positive way, Tamar suddenly appears with a new comment that seems aimed directly at her. She said no matter the situation, Tamar finds a way to throw something out there. For example, when K. Michelle opened up about having her butt enhancements removed and talked honestly about the dangerous complications, she was trying to warn other women. Not long after, Tamar jumped on the same show and made a comment about people needing to stop getting surgery with Groupon. She didn't say K. Michelle's name, but who else had been speaking publicly about surgery recently? The timing was too close to be random. Another situation happened when Beyoncé announced her country music direction. Tamar commented saying some people shouldn't be doing country. Again, she didn't say a name, but come on. Everyone knows K. Michelle has been singing country music for years and is one of the few Black women actively making space in the genre. It's hard to pretend Tamar's words weren't directed at her. And again, every time K. Michelle is shining, Tamar pops up like clockwork. So let's get to the heart of why K. Michelle finally broke her silence now. She said this wasn't a sudden reaction. She said she reached her limit. She said she has spent years ignoring Tamar's comments, watching opportunities get blocked, and hearing mess being whispered behind her back. And when you stay silent that long, every small poke starts to feel like a stab. She said industry people, promoters, event organizers have told her directly that Tamar complained or caused issues when her name was on a lineup. Some said she would threaten to leave if K. Michelle was booked for the same event. And when this message keeps coming from multiple people, it's hard to call it a lie. One time could be coincidence, twice could be bad timing. But when it becomes a pattern and the same name is always in the middle, you start to understand why K.
Michelle finally snapped.
This isn't a situation about choosing teams. It's not about fans fighting. It's not about deciding who sings better. It's about recognizing when someone has been too messy for too many years. Tamar is the common denominator in drama, with K. Michelle, with Lonely Love, with Condi, and even with her own family members. The pattern is always the same. She causes a problem, gets confronted, plays the victim, then pretends to have a spiritual awakening before repeating the cycle. So now here we are. K. Michelle has finally said everything she has been holding in. She isn't whispering anymore. She isn't hinting. She isn't trying to keep peace with someone who has not tried to keep peace with her. And that brings us to the real question for y'all. Is K. Michelle simply telling the truth after years of staying quiet? Or is this another round of celebrity conflict that will fade until the next spark lights it up again? Whatever you think, drop your thoughts in the comments because this story has layers. And if you're here all the way to the end, make sure you like the video and subscribe, especially if you're tired of celebrities pretending they've changed while doing the same things every year.